what is like the practicality of that story-wise? You know, does it feel too much like a cash grab? Like, what do you all think?
It's a lot for a whole movie, and
Yeah.
it'll be really interesting after Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, what do you do with Deadpool after this movie?
Yeah. Welcome back to the break room. New Deadpool pictures! And could Deadpool and Spider-Man team up? Could they?
Could they?
It's the Monday headline show here at the break room. Hit that beautiful graphic. Ooh, there, Evan, fulfilling the mod spelling role there. I'm Zach Huddleston, and joining me today on this esteemed dais, Brandon Barrick's here.
Yeah.
Evan Yee's here.
Yeah. Nice.
And if you're watching live on Twitch, drop your questions and thoughts and meanderings into the chat. Tag at BreakroomNR. But before we get to Deadpool, let's talk about some animation news. How do you pronounce it? Annecy?
Annecy.
The Annecy Festival has been going on. That's in Europe, right?
Yeah, in France.
In France. It's a big animation festival. So there's been a lot of animation news coming out in the last week, including... maybe a couple pertinent things to us here. We got a trailer or a glimpse at a animated Watchmen movie.
Yeah, it was really interesting. It kind of reminded me of like What If style animation, which I was like surprised by. But yeah, it's a 2-part movie, which I think it's probably a good way to adapt the series, the original source material. I don't know.
So it's also kind of funny because Zack Snyder's Watchmen movie was like a shot-for-shot recreation of the comic book.
Yeah.
So I wonder how much this will vary from that. I guess if it's a 2-part movie, there will be more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know in the theatrical cut of Snyder's Watchmen, there's parts cut out, but I thought he released like a full version that was like literally everything from the comic is in there.
I've seen it.
Yeah. See, he's seen it. Except he changed the ending.
He changed the ending.
Yeah.
Oh,
do we think we get giant alien
octopus
blob dropped on New
they
York
did
City?
it in the Watchmen series already. We're
Yeah.
good. This animated thing reminded me of like when Netflix was first kind of kicking off with streaming. They had like an Astonishing X-Men kind of movie cinematic, but it was more like those moving comic book pages where they would take a comic book panel and like separate the layers and just have them like
a Ken Burns
Flash animation
documentary
style.
but for a comic book?
Yeah.
So we got, and is that coming out next year? This year?
I think the first part's coming out this year. Let me confirm.
Okay, maybe that's a Max only kind of a joint.
Yeah.
And we got an early look at storyboards for Creature Commandos. James Gunn was there, or maybe he sent in a video.
He sent in a video, yeah. But it was interesting because Variety was noting that Frank Grillo's character, they're like, well, Rick Flag Sr., he looks like Frank Grillo, which like they're really doubling down on like the actor is gonna like jump back and forth. Do you think that's gonna get him in trouble at some point down the line? Like someone's like, I agree to this thing, but I don't want to do it again.
Yes, I mean there'll probably have to be some recasting. Well, also it'll be interesting. So like obviously a bunch of the Creature Commandos are not normal looking humans, right? It's Frankenstein and different sea monsters and stuff like that. So it's like how that translates from a kind of more traditional animation style to a CGI live action style, right? Or because David Harbour is the voice of Frankenstein's monster, right?
Yes.
So like, is the live action going to be David Harbour with a bunch of prosthetics on, or is it going to be fully CGI?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Who knows? We won't know that for quite a while because it's been established that these characters are going to be the same actor, same portrayal. It's canon to the DC live action.
Is Harbour going to want to be on set in the gray suit with the ping pong balls? Or is, Sean Gunn going to get pissed that that's his job to be the stand-in?
David Harbour's already had a skull transplant.
Just to get the
just to be in character.
Okay, cool.
Cool. He's method.
Cool.
Of course not.
And the Watchmen movie is coming August 13th, 2024. That's when you can buy it on Blu-ray. And it's unclear right now if it's going to be streaming on Max at the same time, but I think it would.
Yeah, they're not going to do a Blu-ray only release.
Well, it's
right?
Warner Brothers.
Yeah,
you never know.
Who knows what the hell
they might rent it out to Netflix or something like that before they even put it on Max.
But smart, DC's had, through all the ups and downs of DC output, they've had a nice, strong animation department. Yes. All the Batman movies and the Injustice and all the different stuff.
And they printed, Warner Brothers or DC Comics had printed like a follow-up to Watchmen. They did like a series of comics eventually, which I thought initially that's what this was going to be.
Unrelated to Alan Moore. He had nothing to do with it.
And unrelated to the series that eventually came out. That was like a sequel to the Watchmen. This was like a separate comic book series.
Yeah. Well, it would be wild if that was the part 2.
Oh, maybe.
Ooh.
Or like if they do some type of time jumping thing, so you see both parts in different.
Oh, instead of weaving the stories together like they are in the comics, you see the past.
Yeah.
And then this part 2 is like the present.
That'd be great. Because it would be nice. I mean, just to say, not that everybody's seen the Zack Snyder live action Watchmen, but like, it'd be nice to get some other stuff in this, right? Like, also, almost everybody has read the graphic novel by this point. I think it's the most successful graphic novel of all time. But we will withhold judgment till we see it. We also got some news about Blue Beetle potentially living on an animated form.
Yeah, this is really interesting. We were talking a little bit about it, I think, with Hector on the Slack, but according to Deadline, there's an animated series in development to continue the version of the character that was created by Angel Manuel Soto, Gareth Dunn at Alcazar, and Xolo Maridueña in the live-action movie from last year. It's unknown whether or not Xolo is going to come back and voice the character, but the Soto and Garrett Alcazar are going to be EPing the series. Okay. So they're definitely trying to continue the DNA of what they established. In the quote the Deadline had was, the animated series will build on the movie developed under DC Studios' previous regime, but will divert from telling the same story. Instead, the show will create its own story, which in success could potentially lead to a return to the big screen for the giant blue bug portrayed by Xolo. Really interesting language there.
Very generic, no promises.
They're kind of keeping
promises, yeah.
They're like, well, this guy already has read the comics, so we'll let him go ahead and make the show.
Yeah.
But also, we're not committing to the... I mean, I do think like there's potential there. It gives them a lot of opportunity in that, like, they can make a big time jump to when the show starts, or they could like change some of the facts of the world, and then like when it does come back to live action, they could maybe keep the animation world intact.
Unless James Gunn has something secret that's been going on that we don't know about, and like Blue Beetle's gonna have a cameo in one of the early upcoming movies in the new DC slate.
Yeah,
like we'd have to imagine it'll be at least 3 or 4 years before Xolo gets to like reprise the role.
Yeah,
if they bring him back, and he's gonna seem a little bit older.
Yeah,
and it's like do some filler story. That movie was so much fun.
Yeah,
it came out during the strikes. They didn't get to promote the movie like they would have liked. It was kind of tossed away near the end of August, early August, mid-August, somewhere in there. And, most people were like, hey, in a world where we're kind of tired of a lot of these superhero movies, this was fun. The world was fun. Had a different kind of message. Yeah. I like how it was like a very vibrant city they set it in, a different version of kind of Miami. It was fun, and do more of that. Like, what's wrong with it? That would be a fun character to explore in animation. And then, bring it back in live action. I could see him and Peacemaker interacting.
Oh my god!
Because they're almost so opposite that it would be hilarious.
Yeah.
To have Peacemaker come meet his family.
And a character that it's not an insignificant CGI budget to animate him, but like in animation,
I think they had like a practical suit that he was wearing that they like, much like they do with Robert Downey Jr. now, where it was like he was wearing a half shoulder thing and they just fill in the rest, right? I think they had like a kind of practical suit that someone was wearing on set.
I think so. And also like for a hero who's like power is like, oh, we can make anything, whatever you want, right? You want to see that shine too in animation. It does suck that it like feels like if this is the path they go down, that this animated show will have to do good enough or do well
that's
enough
a weird
to
moniker.
Get a second movie or to bring him back. So I don't love that, like the pressure that has, right?
But also they probably have to see that because like there were a lot of fans of the film. If you say like, hey, this is replacing the film, that might alienate those fans. Right? So it's a little bit like
you'll never see this character on the movie screen ever again. Just watch his animated show.
Well, and I think like, though the movie wasn't as successful as Warner Brothers and a lot of the fans would have liked, I think like there was a lot of praise for both the director and the lead actor, right? So it's like, would be great if they're still involved in this.
People were excited for like, Ted Cord showing up in that, and like old Blue Beetle, new Blue Beetle, like Booster Gold, all the stuff it could allude to. There's a lot of fun to be had there.
We'll see.
Yeah, dive into it.
Hey, fingers crossed. Let's get it going.
Fingers crossed. Plus, like, again, a character who knows the best way to keep their mind or top of mind to the fans is to have like an animated series. Like,
that's true. Yeah.
I always think about like Shang-Chi, who we haven't seen for years and years and years. There could have been an animated show out at this point, just being like, hey, here's what he's up to right now.
That's true. That's true. And then, it's interesting that it can, like, if DC's whole thing is that the characters can jump from animation to live action, I feel like Marvel could kind of, like, take a page from that in certain regards.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we got some fake news or news about Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man today. It was in the press because Screen Rant published an interview with the composers, Zach Robinson and Leo Berenberg, who also, coincidentally worked on Karate Kid, Cobra Kai, or Cobra Kai Karate, whatever the parlance is. And in that article, it said that Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man was coming out November 2nd of this year, which is a Saturday. Did you guys believe that when you first heard about it?
It was weird, and no.
Well,
first I thought they attributed to the composers, and I was like, why would the composers know when the show's coming out?
Right.
Then the article, it wasn't attributed. They kind of had it as like a little factoid, like in the article, and then they took it away.
I have a theory about this.
Okay,
so like we internally at New Rockstars, right? Like, you know, these studios, for films, we know their release dates far in advance with some certainty, unless it's Craven and they're constantly moving it. But with shows, especially Disney Plus, has been pretty tight-lipped about when these things come out. But we hear rumors, whatever. We have an internal calendar just so we can kind of plan ahead. And we put in, and there has been a rumor for a while that Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man would come out in November. I think Screen Rant had put a placeholder in their internal calendar that show was going to come out, and they just picked November 2nd, because that's the date in November, and then accidentally some junior reporter or whatever just grabbed that date and threw it in a little sidebar, not thinking that is a pretty big deal, because the studio has not said when it's coming out. That's my theory. And then slowly they realize, like, strange how popular this article about the composers is.
We're getting a lot of social engagement on this.
Yes, but now, as was pointed out by John Costa here at New Rockstars, heel John Costa. That does kind of line up, though, because the number of episodes of Agatha Coven of Chaos.
Agatha All Along.
Yeah, how dare
Agatha
you?
All Along.
Come on, Zach. Come on.
Of the 9 different names, I used the wrong one.
We got to retake it, Brian. Cut it all out. Cut it all out.
Hey, if there's one thing we can't do, it's make Zach Huddleston look dumb.
We can't do it.
What was I just pre-ranting on? Agatha All Along would end. It's going to end right before Halloween.
30th,
I think
right?
October 30th is the final episode of this. So, like, it would not make sense. Disney has not really been putting out anything on Saturdays. It's been this weird Wednesday, Thursday night drop. But, like, the next week would actually make a lot of sense to start this show.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, when we first got the date, I also thought, like, maybe they took a weird lesson from X-Men 97. That people wanted to watch it on Saturday mornings, just like the past. Fully lean into the nostalgia bit. I don't know. I mean, I think that's a dumb idea. I'll say
everyone was saying that. No one was going to do that shit.
If you did it, say it in the chat. Leave a comment.
if you waited,
I'd believe for their rewatch. You do like a rewatch on Saturday morning or something like that.
Do a rewatch.
And you know what is a perfect accompaniment to a Saturday morning cartoon watch?
What's that?
What?
Magic Spoon.
Oh.
We'd like to thank one of the sponsors of today's show.
Oh, okay. Magic
Spoon cereal. There it is, right there. MagicSpoon.com/breakroom. So Magic Spoon. When you're a kid, right, eating your cartoons, what was your go-to Saturday morning cartoon, Brandon?
Go-to Saturday morning cartoons?
Yeah.
I mean, definitely like X-Men.
Yeah.
Back then we called it 95. I don't know. X-Men, Eek the Cat was up there.
Ooh.
Tiny Toon Adventures. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, of
Yes.
course. Recess. Probably too old to be watching Recess, but I was watching Recess.
Were you, without naming a brand, were you grabbing a bowl of cereal?
Oh, you know
in
I
front of the
eat some
TV?
cereal. I love some.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, I can't name brands. I apologize.
Yeah. Well, we're no longer that age. I am now X-Men 97 years old. So I can't be eating these.
Remember it!
Please, I can't. You can't be eating that sugary cereal.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, frankly, I shouldn't have been eating that sugary cereal as a child. But Magic Spoon lets you kind of relive that with kind of similar flavor profiles and delivery mechanism, but in a healthier way. Delivery mechanism. You know, the cereal. But it's got high protein, less sugar. There's no gluten. There's no GMOs. It's no like of the bad chemical stuff that is in a lot of this big time mass-produced cereal. So you can, as an adult, without a guilty conscience, eat your Magic Spoon cereal.
Yeah. If you saw that Unfrosted movie, it was all propaganda. It wasn't real. It's all lies.
I didn't see that Unfrosted movie. You badmouthed it so hard, I avoided it.
I mean, it's worth it for literally one scene.
There is one scene that
one
is
scene.
Okay. But I have to watch.
Tell you what
I have to watch all the scenes to realize what the.
But you'll know, Zach.
Okay.
You'll know.
I'm pretty sure I didn't finish it.
Right now, Magic Spoon has a variety pack with 4 flavors: cocoa, fruity, frosted, and peanut butter. I personally prefer the peanut butter of all those. I also enjoy the cocoa, but that peanut butter flavor is very nice.
Yeah.
The pack has 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. That's a very low amount of net carbs. And it's only 140 calories per serving. Plus, besides being high protein and having 0 grams of sugar, it's also keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, and soy-free. Go to magicspoon.com/breakroom to grab a variety pack and try it today. Be sure to use our promo code BREAKROOM at checkout to save $5 off your order. It made its way into the post-credit scene of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Oh, that's
It
right.
did.
Yeah.
Peter Quill was eating Magic School with
You want to maintain that Star-Lord-esque body.
with
you
his
gotta
grandfather.
You got to be eating that Magic Spoon. They're
Yes.
so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, start your day off with a delicious bowl of high-protein cereal at magicspoon.com/breakroom and use code BREAKROOM to save $5.
Folks, the delivery mechanism is the same.
Also, we wanted to thank one of our sponsors today. It's a podcast we're super excited about, A Better Paradise, Volume 1, and Aftermath. It's from the writers of the Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto series. It's an immersive sci-fi thriller audio drama, and it's the very first story in an expansive new universe from absurd ventures. Set in the near future, A Better Paradise tells the story of the ill-fated development of an ambitious but addictive digital game world project led by inventor and psychologist Dr. Mark Tyburn. As the advanced software they developed delivered unexpected and disturbing results, the team fell apart under strange circumstances and the project was abandoned. The game world and the superintelligence within were discarded, left dormant and undiscovered until now.
And I've listened to the first episode of this show. It has a really fun vibe, as Evan's description kind of mentions. It's got a little bit of noir. It's got a little bit of sci-fi. If you've enjoyed the works of Alex Garland, it's in that vein. Ex Machina and what's the one with
Annihilation.
Civil War.
Annihilation. Not the same vibe as either of those. Sorry, the earlier, some more sci-fi works of Alex Garland. Or, it's got a little Blade Runner in it. It's got a little bit of, what was that John David Washington AI movie that came out last year? The Creator. Get a little bit of that with kind of like man versus AI machine. It's really fun. And like got a killer cast too. Andrew Lincoln, Rick Grimes himself is in the voice cast.
Is he British or is he American?
No, he's doing an American. Oh, actually, I don't remember what voice he's doing, but it's a fun voice.
Okay.
I'm excited to take a listen. And Better Paradise is created and written by Dan Houser, lead writer of the Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption games, and directed by his longtime creative partner, Laszlo. It's out now and available everywhere you get your podcasts, so go listen today. And don't forget to follow A Better Paradise on your platform of choice to make sure you never miss an episode. Awesome. I think the last thing on the Spider-Man stuff is, like, do you think... So, best guesses, right? When do you think it comes out, if it comes out this year? Also, there was a panel recently. Charlie Cox, I think, confirmed that he will be voicing Daredevil, which I think we knew from a while ago. Vincent D'Onofrio is, I think the article said he'd be voicing Kingpin. He seems unsure if he's voicing Kingpin. We'll see. Charlie Cox said he did the voice recordings during She-Hulk, though, for this show.
Whoa,
a long time ago.
Way back then.
Yeah.
You think Vincent D'Onofrio thinks he might.
He's like
just because he doesn't remember because it was he did ADR 2 years ago or something.
Yeah. He's like, the rights get confusing too with the Sony stuff, and he's like, he doesn't know. Maybe it's just like, what was he doing? Echo lines? Was he doing Hawkeye lines?
I think he was doing lines for new Ford electric trucks.
Oh, nice.
I want to smash your head in between the door frame of this nice electric Ford F-150.
I guarantee that was not for a car ad.
It might have been.
They don't show heads getting smashed in car ads.
Yet.
Oh, that's true. TVMA car ads.
Yeah, I want a red band Ford F-150 trailer.
Yeah, I think, just based on, we're currently in the middle of Acolyte. After Acolyte's over, kind of in July, there's nothing in this genre of Marvel and Star Wars, or the genres of Marvel and Star Wars, coming out until Agatha All Along in September. That's a pretty big gap. There's like a month and a half there. We were talking about, you had the great idea, Evan, of like back to school time.
Yeah,
could be kind of fun.
Series.
This show was originally called Spider-Man Freshman Year.
That's true. Yeah.
So it would be great to drop it in like August.
Yeah.
But if not then, maybe after Agatha, because there's also nothing really until the end of the year when we get, supposedly we don't have a firm date, around Christmas time, we get Skeleton Crew, Star Wars Skeleton Crew.
Yeah.
So there's some gaps there that they could totally fill with one of these animated shows.
And this show is supposed to have Norman Osborn, too. Right? We saw like a character design for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if he's still in it.
He's got the fun wave hair.
Got the wave.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's still in it or not, though.
Well, we don't know. We haven't seen a trailer. And then we're still, according to some reports, we're still getting Eyes of Wakanda, another animated series sometime this year. Now, any of these could be binge dropped or could turn into the form of a Marvel special presentation or something. And then there's been weird quotes that make it seem like what if season 3 could come out this year?
I really think it will. I think they're gonna do a weird double dose. We're gonna get Skeleton Crew and What If season 3. We're all gonna like lose our minds, and then What If season 3 will just be fine, and Skeleton Crew will be pretty good.
Oh wow! Already calling the reviews.
What a prediction!
Get on the call sheet markets. Evan's calling it.
That's my call sheet call. Not sponsored.
Okay. We can pitch the idea.
When do you think it's coming out?
What, Spider-Man or What If?
Spider-Man.
I think they would only release one more animated thing this year.
Oh, okay.
We know What If has one episode that's probably done, the episode that was supposed to come out this season 2.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably done. It feels like with all these animated shows, they're a mess. And like they don't know when they're gonna be finished because they can't get the animation done in time or something's going wrong.
Man, they're riding high after X-Men '97.
I know.
We gotta give them the benefit of the doubt.
Famously, they've already written 2 seasons before the first season even got like out, and they started up production on season 3. So like again, I think that show was supposed to come out earlier, and it just took so long to get it finished.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I would hope we would get one more animated show this year. I don't think you need to rush out What If. And I wonder if they're afraid after how well X-Men '97 was received.
They
don't
can't
want to
put
have
out anything that is a lower quality.
Yeah. Not that What If is of lower quality, and it did well from what I can tell. But like I think when compared to X-Men '97, now people are like, oh, I want this longer form storytelling.
Yes. Also, that strange release cadence of 1 episode a day
during the holidays.
It was aggressive.
So odd.
I think they shot themselves in the foot. I think it would have done better.
That was aggressive. Sorry, Grandma. I can't hang out with you. I'm watching What If.
What? Okay? Tony's on Sikaar and he's racing.
It's my last Christmas. I don't have time, Grandma.
Happy Hogan's giant. He's purple. Grandma, get out of my face.
Get out of my face, Grandma. I don't have time for this. Nebula's she's stuck. She's stuck on Xandar. They closed the world shield, Grandma.
That's Howard the Duck, Grandma. Get out of my face.
Howard the what?
I saw that movie. You didn't see no movie, Grandma. The old meme. In my day, Howard the Duck was the only comic book movie. Sure thing, Grandma. Sure thing.
What? Zoe Dutch's mom was in movies? Get out of here. Okay.
You're telling me Zoe Dutch's mom did movies?
Whatever. Unheard of.
Of.
She has no industry connection. She was just an unknown star discovered.
Zoe Dutch's mom did what with her son? What? Calvin Klein? The Calvin Klein?
The Calvin Klein. All right, so Maud's not here today for the Maud Monday Minute, but
Zoe Dutch is here.
I thought I would do a little thing called Monday Evan Story Sesh, or MESS for short, where I'll tell a story about a news headline that we wouldn't spend a ton of time talking about otherwise. So before you hit the clock, Dashiell, Variety announced that a second Uncharted movie is officially in development. And now here's my Uncharted story.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I really wanted to watch Uncharted in theaters, but I just kept missing it week after week after week. I just couldn't find time to go see this movie because I heard it wasn't very good. But I wanted to see it. Tom Holland, undeniable charisma. So I went on the last showing on a Sunday night. Drove out to a theater in the suburbs and was like, all right, great. Not a ton of people in this theater. I can just like hang out, put my feet up on the chairs, walk into the theater. As soon as I sit down, the movie screen is flickering, as if it's like an old school film projector. And then suddenly the theater starts filling up with people. More and more people were sitting down. And literally, as of an hour ago, I had checked this, it was completely empty. And I'm like, where are all these people coming from? And everybody came in. Every row ended up being like kind of filled, halfway filled, and we all sat down and watched a flickering version of Uncharted at 10 o'clock on a Sunday evening. It felt like a community screening where we were all together and enjoying a nice tale told by the firelight. And that's my Uncharted story in less than 60 seconds.
Wow. More like Uncharted.
Evan, you're allowed to get up and say something if the movie quality is bad.
If you see something, say something, Evan.
Well, I was like, it's the last showing on a Sunday. I didn't want to like.
There are employees there. They didn't throw you the key and say lock up when you're done.
I mean, it felt like it.
What moment in the trailer made you go, I gotta see this movie? Is it the falling asleep?
Well, I think
when he's the crazy CGI sequence when he's jumping from the falling
the
thing,
plane, with the car falling out.
Yeah.
Well, and any movie that is like clearly aiming for an Indiana Jones-esque playful adventure, archaeology kind of vibe, there's hope that that's gonna be a romp, right?
Yeah.
I saw it as it was meant to be seen on an airplane.
Let's go.
I watched it on my PSP.
My PS Vita.
Tom Holland really needs a movie like The Fall Guy, where he can be an action star and it doesn't feel so CG'd.
Yeah.
Because the man does stunts. Like,
Yeah.
you've never watched Tom Holland's like audition for Spider-Man. He does a full backflip.
Damn.
Just like out of nowhere, he just does it. And it blows your mind.
Yeah.
And if you've ever go watch like the behind the scenes of like No Way Home when they were filming the stuff on the bridge when everyone starts showing up, Doc Ock and like Green Goblin at the beginning of the movie. That guy was like jumping around, doing all these crazy stunts.
Yeah.
And like when you're watching that movie, he's in a full suit and you're like,
They've added
oh,
some
this is all
CGI
CG.
like shine on him, right?
Yeah.
Even though he's wearing the suit.
Yeah, they did this in previs.
Yeah.
Tom's never done. The guy kept like do moves.
Well, and
he needs to like show it.
Yes.
They need a better way to show it.
Or he needs a more John Wicky kind of a thing, right? Like a little bit more like maybe
I like
Combat
that
or
movie.
whatever.
Call it John Wicky. He's like
he's
young John
filling
Wick.
in. He's
It's a crossover between John Wick and Cherry.
Yeah.
Oh,
Someone stole his binky and they killed it, and John Wicky's got to get his binky back.
I was going with like Wiki, like he's filling in Wikipedia,
Yeah.
but then he also needs to fight crime.
What about John Winky, where he like winks a lot?
He's got something in his eye. Well, I will say, though, the big set pieces in Uncharted were definitely CGI. But, like, there's some kind of parkour-y, hopping, jumping around. It's also, that movie was kind of weird because it was, like, also half a Mark Wahlberg movie. Didn't even necessarily feel like the whole thing was a Tom Holland movie. I'm hopeful for it. It was fun to watch on the plane.
Just give him, he needs something that everyone likes that's not Spider-Man. So everyone can be chill and everyone can be cool.
Well, yes.
Because I feel like he puts his heart into a lot of things and the audiences don't always like him.
He keeps going for these heavy dramas.
Yeah, he's just got to find a middle ground, right?
Yes.
Yeah. The one thing I did forget about the story, which I am just remembering.
We're out of seconds.
I know. Well, when I walked into the theater, there was a really loud family that was there before me. And the kids were running around the aisle saying, "The theater is ours!" And
you
they
came
saw
with
me.
No, it's not, kid.
And I think that's why I didn't get up to say anything, because I was like, I can't, because I'm just going to ruin it more for these kids.
Maybe they were there for, before your movie, there was a screening of The Hours. And they were like, the theater is The Hours.
Yep, that's
They're like,
it.
I like the part where
Yeah.
she walked into the river with stones in her pocket.
1998's The Hours.
That was a 2001 joint.
Was it really?
I think so.
This was probably the thumbnail topic, so we should get into it.
Hey, you were here a half hour ago for this content. It's time.
No, you know what? I want to hear more about Adventures in Jersey cinema going. Okay. Hey, let's take a look at these new Deadpool pictures that were released by Total Film.
Boom.
There he is.
Boom.
Dog pool.
God, look at the tongue on that dog pole.
I will say, just last night, I watched the first Deadpool again in its entirety. And I already love the look of his new... They've really come to a good place
with
the look of his face
yeah,
and his skin on his face.
Oh, okay. Look at Hugh.
in
I'm so
Coming in.
excited for Hugh in this
Looking like
movie.
middle linebacker for the Los Angeles Rams.
Looks
there.
like he was riding around Cyrax all the last couple days looking for his dead son. You know what I mean? He's all dirty. He's all dragonborn. I'm stuck on House of the Dragon.
Oh, this yes. Okay.
They're dirty when they ride the dragons.
Yeah.
Evan, you
Well,
watch
like
the show.
Yeah.
I do love it. Now, there's been a lot of, can we have that photo again? Yeah. There's been a lot of speculation that, as obviously there's also this outfit, but sleeveless, we see, and also gauntletless,
Yeah.
right? He's not wearing anything. Do we think that's a different Wolverine, or do we think at one point this guy does the old, your dad when he's out, at the state fair and he unzips the bottom of his pants legs? Do you think
It's trying to go shorts. Well, villain of the show, John Costa, had a theory for a while that he was trying to track the sleeves.
Yeah.
Because you might know about this. New Rockstars, we'll take a lot of trailer clips and we call it a string out. We try and put all the clips of all the trailers and all the media that gets released into the order we think the film is. And we're using the sleeves for a while as like where we think this takes place.
Because
in the film.
there's no world in which he starts
He adds
sleeveless
sleeves?
and starts adding them. So he's probably removing them over time.
What if he kills a Wolverine with sleeves and takes his?
Or takes his arms.
Yeah.
Oh.
His arm.
Yeah. Just cut on, fuse it back on.
Like
yeah.
like
a lizard?
maybe
No,
he's
a
from
tree.
maybe he's from a universe where your arms pop up.
Oh, like that Suicide Squad character.
Yeah.
Yes,
Nathan
yeah.
Fillion comes in. Nathan Fillion as Wolverine.
What?
Yeah, so that it is interesting. And here's more sleeves. This is obviously in the Void set. Now, this particular image has sparked a lot of headlines and controversy because or not controversy, but the character over Deadpool's left shoulder, a lot of people are speculating that is a blade.
Or
Or an alternative.
or
Now,
what did Eric say earlier today? Spike?
There's a character in like X-Men 3 who's in the woods. It's like Spike. He doesn't technically have a name.
Oh, he just,
I think
like,
he's called
credited?
Spike in the script. He
Okay.
makes these spikes and he rips them off and he throws them. Like,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and him and Wolverine have a fight in the woods. This is before like Magneto and crew go to take over Alcatraz. Now, that's a very minor character. We were trying to like look at photos of the actor like current day to see if that's what he kind of looks like. It could be him.
and then, but a lot of people have been saying blade just because it's a black guy in a leather trench coat.
He is wearing some sort of interesting pendant looking
No,
thing.
here
I
are
don't
the
know.
two big demerits there.
Yeah.
They would just get Wesley Snipes, who's available.
Right.
And he's
Okay.
made it known.
Yes.
He's making it known.
They wouldn't, I don't think they would just show him in a.
No, they also wouldn't give that away in a trailer.
No.
Then some people were speculating there was a very short-lived Blade TV show from 2016, I think.
Yeah.
But it's also not the actor who played Blade on that show, Sticky Fingers, who's
still
also
alive.
alive and out there
And probably would
show
love
up.
to be in the
And it's
movie.
like you wouldn't want a Blade cameo if you literally had to explain who it is.
Yeah.
You want the whole point of a cameo is that just seeing them pops the crowd. You know what I mean? So like you wouldn't. It's not Blade. And it's probably also not that character from X-Men Last Stand. It's probably just an extra goon that they
Yeah.
gave a leather jacket to.
Yeah.
I mean, you do see Toad in that image, so they are showing some like named characters. But yeah, I mean, we'll see.
Anyways, was that? I'm sorry. Were there more photos?
No, those were the three big pictures today. I mean, on the topic of cameos, though, we're a little over a month out from when the movie's going to release. Do you think we get another significant trailer, or do you think we get one poster with one cameo or something that really makes everyone pop, and not just like a 30-second like tickets on sale thing?
I think that's what we'll get. Well, we won't get any more like 2 minutes.
We've already had the tickets
Yeah.
on sale.
Yeah, and
that's
like
true.
Trailer.
this is when they run into the like what would you call TV spots which are like 30 seconds or less, which they all show up online eventually. But like those are the little things you'll see on TV.
I bet
during
yes. I bet we'll see more stuff. I bet we get 0 cameos
Really?
that we already haven't gotten before the movie comes out. I bet we get jokes, new jokes, maybe a new set piece or action shot. I bet they give away 0 cameos because they'll give those away the week after it comes out.
And it's tracking
that'll be
so
for the
well.
week 2 push.
Yeah.
Right. Also, they've already sold all the tickets. Yeah.
This was the time during, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness when they were like, oh, Professor X is in it. And so is Captain Carter. And so is Monica Rambeau as, Captain Marvel. And like, they kind of gave all that away because and Mr. Fantastic's in it. They were kind of panicking, I think.
Well, that was even closer though. Wasn't that like the week before the release?
Yeah, it was in the month window, which we're not quite in yet, but we're pretty close to the month window. But I don't think they're worried at all. I mean, this movie is
it's doing great.
Tracking great.
That's a great point. I hadn't thought of that because if it was tracking worse for some reason, and obviously this is so anticipated, but then one little tease of like,
because I think Thor: Love and Thunder was not tracking well, and that was a movie where they held the trailer for so long. We didn't. That was one of the shortest promotional windows that Marvel had in a while, and I think they got a little scared and were kind of showing a lot of stuff ahead of that movie's release. But I think right now they're feeling pretty good.
And I think
if these are the 3 images they're dropping, they're like, we don't got to show.
And I don't doubt if they're saving some promotional bullets for post-release, right? They already know. Opening night, all the fans are coming hard, right? That whole opening weekend. I mean, coming hard. Coming hard, okay? It'll be that second week when you need to get the more casuals.
Don't Edgerton me right now, dude.
Yeah, you still need...
Welcome back to Edgerton.
Yeah, that second week, you still need loads of people to come.
Yes, loads. Just buckets. Buckets.
I hate...
You got to fill those theaters.
I'm so glad Maud's not here for this.
And so I think that's when they save some of those bullets. And I bet there's at least one big cameo that they drop maybe the week after release in a trailer to maybe get.
What do you think is the cameo that will make the general audience be like, you know what, I'm back for this?
It has to be both a character and an actor we recognize.
Yeah.
Now that could be Ben Affleck Daredevil. That could be Wesley Snipes Blade.
Yeah.
That could be Chris Evans Human Torch, right? Like something along those lines.
You get Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze from the DC universe, baby.
And you get 1,000 boyfriends and husbands leaning over to their girlfriends being like, see, this is weird because he's not even from this universe.
You get Billy Zane as the Phantom.
Evan, you also wanted to talk about this Total Film article.
So along with the pictures, Total Film, they have a big kind of release coming out. It's always nice to see what kind of like things they tease. It's cool that they have such a big spread when it comes to big blockbuster movies. They've been releasing interview tidbits from that article. There's an interesting one from Shawn Levy saying the thing about Deadpool is I think he makes everything more interesting because of his audacity. I'd sure love to see Deadpool and Spidey. That's a movie I'd love to make. I feel like Tom Holland would run circles around everyone else. We were talking about this off screen. This would obviously do gangbusters at the box office. Deadpool and Spider-Man, like that is incredible. But what is like the practicality of that story-wise? Does it feel too much like a cash grab? Like, what do you all think?
It's a lot for a whole movie. And it'll be really interesting after Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, what do you do with Deadpool after this movie?
Yeah.
I think he'll definitely play a role in the upcoming Avengers movies, whatever Avengers 5 turns out to be, and Secret Wars. If he's not, he'll definitely be in Secret Wars. I don't know if he would show up in Avengers 5 or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, will there be another standalone Deadpool movie after this? Even if it is a team up, right? Like a Deadpool and Spider-Man. But Spider-Man is probably Marvel's, even though Sony kind of owns the character, Marvel's like best character that's still making movies, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We don't know. We'll get another Thor, but we don't know. Captain, Chris Evans and Steve Rogers and Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man are cameo only. They'll never have their own movie going forward. They'll probably never do a standalone Hulk movie.
Yeah.
Ever again. Yeah. So it's like, right now, their best character they have is Spider-Man. And Spider-Man will always, that is the Batman of DC, right? It will always be a very popular character that they can always go back to, no matter who's playing him. So to think that they don't need to waste him on a Deadpool movie.
That's right.
And they don't need to waste 2 of their best characters on
it's
movie.
why would you combine them for a movie when you could each have those have solo movies that are both super successful, right?
Yeah.
I think if anything, you get. I mean, I guess you could make the same argument with Deadpool and Wolverine. Like you could have just had another.
Right,
solo
but like
Wolverine.
I think if you were trying to say in a post-Logan world that like, oh, we're making another Wolverine movie, everyone with Hugh Jackman, everyone would be like, nah, we don't need another one of these. But this was like the best way to do it.
Yeah, feels different. It feels like you're not retreading ground. You are kind of. Still
And it kind of
following
it's
ground.
like that weird. Hey, Hugh, you and Fox,
Yeah.
you did all this on your own. Kevin's gonna let you come in and shake hands with the MCU team for a little bit, and
And it feeds into like the things have been planned, seeds they've been planned for a long time. Whereas like something like Deadpool and Spider-Man, like you'd have to see how they would interact in like Avengers 5 or
he's never
whatever.
even like said Spider-Man's name or anything. Whereas even in the first Deadpool back in 2016, there's many references to Hugh Jackman in it.
Yes.
That he makes constantly. So it just feels so organic.
The other part of this is that the Deadpool franchise are all R-rated. Mm-hmm. Spider-Man, along with all the other Marvel movies, are PG-13, right? Yeah. So would this potential movie that won't ever happen, would it be the first R-rated Spider-Man? Or would it be the first PG-13 Deadpool?
Yeah.
I think it would have to be R-rated, right?
Yeah.
Really?
Unless you're being very cheeky with Deadpool being aware he's in a PG-13.
Unless he sends Kidpool in and it's like you can't curse. I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe, what if it's PG-13, but a Deadpool keeps talking dirty and they just bleep it all?
Oh yeah, they could do that.
And blur out the graphic violence. Like it's a new Rockstars YouTube video. We have to blur out graphic violence.
We don't. It's
Yeah.
very frustrating, especially this season of television right now.
I know, there's a lot of graphic violence on television.
Acolyte, what are you doing? There's so much blood.
So much blood. Yeah, it would be interesting to see what other swings they would want to take for R-rated movies when it comes to Marvel. I mean, Deadpool, it feels very natural, right? But I think for Marvel, they probably want to keep it like pretty, accessible, right, for kids and for adults. But we were talking about this like. Shawn Levy is in talks to maybe direct Avengers 5, or that's the big rumor. Jeff Snyder has been speculating that he's like, well, if you're Shawn Levy, would you want to just go from one Marvel movie to another Marvel movie? Would you want to do that Star Wars movie that you've been in development for? Would Shawn Levy make an R-rated Star Wars movie? I mean, it feels like his involvement with Deadpool feels like the R rating comes from the character and not maybe him. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yes, because he did Free Guy.
Yeah.
That was not R rated. He's done a bunch of comedies.
Night at the Museum movies.
Yes,
right?
they were very family focused. So like, it doesn't feel like he's not, as opposed to Todd Phillips, that
Joker. Right,
the Joker director he's also done a lot of comedies, but like R-rated comedies, like the Hangover movies, right? So it's like that feels more like a director choice versus a character choice. Whereas, Shawn Levy doing Deadpool feels like a character choice more than anything. Well, and maybe then like, when you say the director of Deadpool doing Deadpool and Wolverine doing a Star Wars movie, But when you hear, the director of Deadpool or the director of Night at the Museum doing a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that might make more sense, right? Family friendly kind of fantasy elements. Yeah.
Skeleton Crew 2, Electric Boogaloo, right?
Oh.
Yeah, I could see him like wanting to stay with Marvel just because I think once you get used to the system, it probably makes a lot of sense. And then, going over to doing a Star Wars movie, that's like a whole new team of execs you have to deal with in like different ways.
Yeah.
And, I feel like Star Wars is very, not that Marvel's protective of its property, but they've kind of let a lot of stuff, people try out some things, different directors, but it feels like Star Wars, they're very careful right now.
Well, especially
what's getting made.
With the hyper limited theatrical output, right? Like,
they haven't had a movie in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even jumping back too, if Shawn Levy were to direct Avengers 5, you brought up a good point about like could the sacrifices that would have to be made in the content to make it like PG-13 or R-rated. If he were to direct Avengers 5 and Deadpool plays a major part in Avengers 5, is that an R-rated movie now?
No.
Or does Deadpool
For sure not.
I think he starts getting bleeped, like you said.
Yeah.
It's just like he's very aware he's being bleeped.
Well, also,
Like, it's angry.
in an Avengers 5 or a Secret Wars that features Deadpool, I don't think anybody's going to assume, like, Deadpool's the main character in this movie, right? It's going to be an ensemble no matter what. And probably, at best, he's, like, a second tier ensemble member.
Yeah,
right. It'll probably be built around Avenger characters, right? And then like he shows up in the third act from the the portals open.
Avengers 5 will mostly just be Gaia, I think, doing most of the work of the Avengers.
Yeah, it's a one-woman show.
She's got all the powers. Just let her do it. We don't need all these other characters.
Now, is she fighting herself?
No.
Who's she
still
fighting?
Fights like normal villains, but it's just she just represents everyone in the MCU.
That would be an insane.
Hey, they'd save so much money on cast.
Yeah.
Go back and check out Avengers Assembled, where I won because I put Gaia on my team, dog.
Get out of here.
All-time QB, baby.
All-time QB.
Got all the powers.
And a wild deep cut for an LA indie theater one-person show is to do like I Am Gaia versus like the Disney Studios
Hollywood Fringe 2024 is going on right now. Maybe I can pitch the show and get it out.
Recut La La Land so that Emma Stone's one-woman show is about Gaia.
Like what a way, to not appeal to theater fans or Marvel fans. To just really guarantee an empty house.
My aunt was a super Skrull.
One woman's journey from being
beautiful. I love it. It's great. But yeah, what you were talking about too with like rated R movies, what after they do Deadpool and Wolverine and kind of the cat's out of the bag with like, okay, MCU, you can do R-rated movies now. Do you even want to make you don't want to make your tent poles R-rated. Like, you wouldn't make an Avengers R-rated.
No.
I think it was floated that Blade was kind of dancing around in R-rated.
Still is, yeah.
Well, who knows? I mean, we've got 3 more directors and 8 more scripts.
Yeah, that's true. Who knows?
So.
In 2038, when we get that movie, we'll find out. But
Midnight Suns
in this Midnight Suns movie
movie
that's being, but even now a lot of horror movies. Studio horror movies are PG-13. Megan was PG-13, right?
Well, when you talk about Todd Phillips making R-rated comedies, that was part of that weird flip Hollywood went through.
Yeah.
Where our action movies became PG-13 and our comedies became rated R.
Yeah.
And it was, you had the 5th installment of Die Hard where he can't even say motherfucker anymore because it's getting bleeped out. And you're like, what are we doing? Why are our action movies PG-13 and our comedies R-rated? And we kind of got stuck in that trend.
I mean, maybe that has to do with like the Marvel kind of like machine too, right? Like around that time, like the first Iron Man stuff's coming out, and like they're like, oh, this is actually working. We can actually do more of these.
We can make close to $1 billion if we open up our movie.
I do love that, and like we were kind of talking a little bit beforehand though about. The paradigm has shifted again. There's all this talk about people aren't going to see theatrical movies, though Inside Out
2
great.
Crushed it this weekend.
But like, is there a world where also Marvel senses the demographics of their audience have shifted a little bit, right? Now, the people that, were 22 when Iron Man 1 came out, right? Like they're now deep into their 30s, right? Like they've aged up. Maybe there's even a world where like, it's more attractive to them if the movie is more mature, rated R, right? Do we finally get full frontal in a Marvel movie?
Jesus Christ.
I mean, Dave Filoni of Star Wars was just asked this too. Josh Horowitz on the Happy Sad Confused podcast was saying like, do you think there's a place for edgier Star Wars films, like R-rated stuff, right? And he's like, yes, there's a place for it, but I still would want to make sure I tap into the imagination for kids.
Yeah,
Star
That's
Wars,
like Andor, right? Is probably our closest to an R-rated.
Andor didn't do that well, and Dave Filoni's stuff that was more aimed at kids because he has an animation background did a lot better, right? So that's probably going to be his vision, right?
Exactly, but he shouted out Andor, and he was like, well, it has to be well done, right? We're not just I don't want to like put words in his mouth, but it's like you don't want to do something just for like the rating or blah blah blah. And so it's like with Marvel, with such a rich comic well to draw from that has like done all types of storylines, right? Like where do you find the audience, especially now moving forward with like how the last few movies haven't been as well received?
Are there other very popular ribald Marvel characters that would necessitate, right? When you think Deadpool, R-rated. I mean, the second one,
Punisher is like the first
Punisher would be a big one.
I mean, like a real Venom movie. Like the fact that our Venom movies are PG-13.
Like a Venom movie where he bites people's heads off and blood spurts out of their necks.
In the trailer for this movie, he bites off 5 heads.
Bloodlessly.
But it is so like comically like head ducking down, clean as a whistle.
Like a Carnage movie that got to be actually scary, The Venom or Spider-Man fighting Carnage, and he's like actually doing serial killer stuff, right? Like,
I mean, Logan is a great example of like an R-rated comic book movie that even has kids in it, and it's still not aimed at kids, right? I don't know if that movie was not made with kids in mind.
Yeah.
Here kids into it. I think Disney has done an interesting job with mainly Star Wars, which has always been very kid friendly, you know. Ever since Return of the Jedi, like there's always been like little elements for kids in those movies to really draw them in. But they do a great job with those like animated shows like that. Right now they have that Young Jedi Academy, which is like a High Republic timeline show that Yoda's still in, that gets all these kids into it. Marvel, they've been able to do a little bit with Spidey and Friends, which is like a very kid-centered show, but has like a ton of deep-cut comic characters in it to get kind of kids into that.
Here's my pitch. What if Thunderbolts was rated R?
Let's go.
I wish.
Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, you remember my pitch, Thunderbolts versus Young Avengers, where it's like these villains beating up on teenagers, I think would be an intense movie.
I would love that. It would also, again, my brain, Brave New World and Thunderbolts feel like a part 1 and a part 2. I know they're not completely different teams.
They kind of pitched them that way.
By all reports, they're unrelated movies, right? That aren't going to share any cast members or whatever. But they feel so similar. I would love anything that would help differentiate the tone, the vibes of those movies. And if Thunderbolts were R-rated, it was going to be like Red Guardian, you know, cussing and you know,
cussing,
cutting people,
smoking cigarettes,
Yelena
drinking alcohol,
Yelena fucking popping people's eyeballs out or whatever.
Popping eyes out.
Freaking Edgerton.
Yeah. Hanging out on a boat without their life jackets on. They're in. Don't worry, officer. They're in the cooler. We can get them in case the boat starts sinking.
Oh, this cooler down here? Should I just bend over and get it here?
Oh, God.
Parking illegally for 2 hours. You know, adult stuff.
Is this your idea of R-rated?
Yeah, it's an R-rated movie, dog. It's an R-rated movie, man. Making weird shapes with their body, like Joker.
Rated R for lack of life jacket.
I want to see one of these viral YouTube videos where the weird chiropractors like crack some celebrities' back. I want to see them do that to Joaquin Phoenix, whose back is just a bunch of chain link fence wrapped around a ham or something like that. That guy's skeleton is insane.
New junket format? Characters and chiropractors chatting about movies? I don't know. All right.
Back cracking.
Hey, we cracking backs?
Back cracking movie chatting. You know what I mean? Here's the thing: you can't make an R-rated Captain America movie.
No.
He's too goody two.
No, he's white bread. He's he's all
What a
American.
nice goody two shoe. Like Superman's. You never have like an R-rated Superman movie.
No.
It would be funny if it was the Thunderbolts versus Young Avengers. It's R-rated. Third act, it's revealed that the Young Avengers are protecting whoever they need to fight, and then all the Thunderbolts are cursing and stuff, and the Young Avengers are like, why can't we do that?
Yeah.
Why aren't we allowed to say that?
Why can't we curse?
Yeah.
And then we see Full Frontal.
Hey, that's it
Of
for
course,
us.
it's Nick Fury, right?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you kids doing?
He
Can't fucking
He
curse.
steps out of his shower.
Now watch me while I drive this boat without a life jacket on.
Pass me that White Claw.
You know how long my car's been parked illegally?
I don't get a license to get this many fish. Not in this state.
You know how overdue this library book is? Fuck, dude.
This milk, unpasteurized. Okay.
We drinking raw milk now?
That gets you the R, that's for sure.
I get you the R. Raw. For raw. I mean, Black Widow should have been an R-rated movie.
Yes. That would have been
true.
fun.
That
so
is
close.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Multiverse of Madness is
Toes the line.
yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
When Sam Raimi is kind of like a pioneer of PG-13 horror, kind of
I
stuff.
think that's where the rated R movies for Marvel, if it's not Deadpool, right? It's in the horror genre. Like that's where you should be pushing the limits.
Yeah, or like psychological.
Like
right?
I don't need more gratuitous violence
Yeah.
or psychological trauma for the heroes
No.
and villains and,
And-
citizens of
and
Earth.
cussing only adds so much,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I
That's
guess
the Suicide Squad, right? That's rated R mainly for its language, I think. I don't think the violence is maybe a little more intense in Suicide Squad, but not much
Maybe
more.
it's like YouTube if it opens up with like a massacre in the first like
Yeah, I
10
guess
minutes.
so.
It's like yeah.
I mean,
You can
I
hide that
realize
one,
people are
you know?
getting blown up and by, but it's not like
Yeah.
it's not the opening minutes of Saving Private Ryan or anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, red flag, my guts! That would have been a great opening, man.
Yeah. Hey, James Gunn, we got an idea for you. Go in and recut it.
Oh, saving Private Flag.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yeah,
There you
that's
go.
it. Hey, that's it for us today. Make sure to subscribe to the Breakroom channel on YouTube and give us a follow on Twitch, where we do videos like this live. You can follow Breakroom NR on all the social medias except the ones that you don't like.
That's right. And throw in the chat or in the comments, however you're watching this, how are you Edgertoning?
Jeez Louise.
And don't forget to pick up the shirt that Zach's wearing.
Hey! Dawn of the Dragon. I don't know if you can tell. This is at nerdriot.shop. Thank you for the graphic there. This is an idea we came up. This is a parody of the classic Dawn of the Dead movie poster that had a zombie head right here, but we put a dragon. And there's a bunch of like clever Easter eggy things written down here in the graphic. Brandon's rocking one of our It's a Trap shirts. It's in the style of Bass Pro Shops.
Oh, yeah. I like those guys.
Comes in a trucker hat too that looks very Bass Pro Shops. Anyways, we got a lot of fun designs there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Did a little out of order, but that's the show. See you later.
Bye.